Alright, this is the fourth video in the series, and this is going to be about bullet seating and crimping. We've been working on 40 Smith & Wesson right now. We got our cases all cleaned and everything. We put the primers in it and we charged them with powder. So my next step is to seat the bullet. There's nothing really too exciting about this step. It's not very complicated at all. Just consult your manual. For 40 Smith & Wesson with the 155 grain, the overall length should be 1.125. So once you get your die all set up, and then back it quite a ways off, and then just start seating your bullet, and then keep measuring it with your calipers until you get your desired overall length. One step that I didn't go over previously is expanding the cartridge. Typically I don't do that on 40 Smith & Wesson. It's really up to you, I guess. When you expand the case, it's gonna flare it out, then the neck of it, and that will allow the bullet to get started a lot easier. Okay, so with expanding, less is more. So you don't want to expand it so much that you're going to start losing neck tension and stuff on the case. That's why I typically don't expand mine, because I don't have any problems seating these copper plated 40 bullets. But if you're using a full metal jacket and maybe it's a little bit bigger diameter bullet, you're going to probably find it a lot easier if you do expand the case. So I'm going to expand one just so you know how to do it. I mean, the powder's already in it and everything, which isn't going to hurt anything. Typically you do this step before you charge your cases. But I got my expanding die here in the press, and all it is just a wedge in there that's going to, you can hear it come out of there. It's just going to go down in the case and just flare out the mouth just a little bit. And now if you sit your bullet in there, it'll actually stay by itself. Like I said, I don't usually expand them because I like more neck tension. So with that, what I'll do is I'll seat these 8 bullets, and then I'll actually pull one of them in case you have an accident where it doesn't go in quite right and it maybe damages the jacketing or the copper plating on the bullet. You're not really going to want to shoot that through your firearm, so I'll show you how to pull one of these bullets. So my die's already set up, so I'm not going to back it out and adjust it in like I just went over. If you're just setting it up, you're going to want to back out the seating plug here on top, and then just seat your bullet, and then you're going to take that off and measure it with your calipers. Obviously it's going to be over, so you'd run this in a little bit, stick it back in there, run it back up in there, and then just keep doing it until you get 1.125 or whatever manual calls for that the particular round that you're loading. So we'll do all these real quick, and then like I said, I'll pull one of them after I do the crimping step. And I'm using 155 grain extreme bullets, 155 grain flat nose. I typically try to use all flat nose. I think they perform better, and in the cases they're not flopping all around. If you put them in your cases like this, with a round nose, they'd be all flopping around. But so all 8 of those are seated, and then same thing with your crimp die. You're gonna start off by backing out your adjusting plug here, do a little bit of a crimp, and then just keep running your plug in until you get the desired amount of crimp. Now you don't want a lot of crimp, okay? Too much crimp will actually lessen the amount of neck tension, because in the beginning I over crimped some bullets, and you can take the bullet itself and just spin it inside the case. You don't want that to happen. All I'm doing, basically, if you expanded your case, you can feel it's a little bit rough on the edge here. It's sharp. And then after you just do a little bit of a crimp, it's not sharp anymore. Okay, that's basically all I'm after. So then if you crimp each one of your bullets, you'll notice that when you chrono them, your results will be more consistent as far as velocities. Because if you just expand the cases, some cases, if you're not trimming them, some cases are longer than others. So the longer cases are more expanded than the shorter cases. So what that basically translates to is different amount of pressures inside the round when you're firing it, and that's going to translate to different velocities. So if they got all the same amount of crimp on them, then that should bring that spread on your chrono closer together, and you'll get more accurate or more consistent velocities. So these are all set, these are all done, that's the finished product. Okay, that's ready to go. My last step, what I do is I run all my cases through a case gauge like we talked about in the beginning when we were using this for the 9mm or the 223 to see if the cases need to be trimmed. Well, here's a case gauge for 40. So I'm going to drop each one of these cases in there, and I'm going to verify that it's perfectly flat here. Every now and then you'll get one that doesn't slide in all the way. Let's see if we get one now. And notice they're flopping, they're going right in easy, and I mean it doesn't take nothing for them to fall out. Every now and then you'll get one that won't fall out, so you push on the other side here to get it to come out, and then what I typically do is run it through the crimp again, just to maybe squish it a little bit more and it'll come out fine. So all these came out perfect. What that's telling me is that's gonna chamber in my weapon, because that's the exact same size as my chamber, and I'm not gonna have any issues with feeding or extracting inside the weapon. So you want to kind of figure this out before you get out to the range. So let me get the puller all set up. I'm going to make actually a dummy round. I'm just going to put a bullet in a case, and then I'll use that to show you how to pull a bullet if you mess something up. Alright, so like I said, I just made up a dummy round. It doesn't have a primer in it, doesn't have any powder in it. Obviously when you complete a load, it's got a primer and a powder in it, so this isn't dangerous at all or anything, so don't worry about it exploding or anything. All this puller does is it uses kinetic energy to force the bullet out of the casing. So it comes with a bunch of collets here, and then you just match up whatever one fits around the rim of your case, stick it inside the puller, put the top on it, and that's going to make it so the case doesn't move at all. And you notice that it's all sealed inside here, so it's going to catch the powder and the bullet. A lot of times, unless you damage the bullet, you can even reuse the bullet, and obviously the powder's still good. So all you do is just either smack this against the floor, like a concrete floor. I'll use the center lug on my press if I'm up here. You can hear it, there's a couple whacks. Some will come out real easy, it just depends on your crimp and your neck tension of how easy it'll come out. So there you go. Bullet is out of that case. And then if I had powder and everything in here, what I do is I get my tray from my scale, and I would just pour it in there like that, catch all the powder, and then as you can see, that bullet is perfect. I can reuse that again. The copper is not even damaged on it, and you can see the little crimp line all the way around it. I'll throw it away, I don't reuse stuff like that, but if you wanted to, you could. That would be perfectly suitable to shoot again. Then your brass, it's all good. Many different pullers, they make dies that go into your press that grab onto the bullet, and then you mount it in there, and then when you pull out, it'll pull the case right off the bullet. This one here, I mean, it's the cheapest one and the easiest in my opinion. I mean, it's not every day you get a bullet that needs to be pulled. If you're gonna do hundreds of bullets, I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but I mean, one out of every 3,000, 4,000 maybe gets screwed up, and that makes sense to me to use that. So that's it. That's the last video of this series. I hope you guys all enjoyed them. And I'm actually going to do one more video like I pointed out in the beginning. I'm going to use the Dillon, the progressive press. That way you can kind of see the difference between single stage and a progressive press. So let me get that all set up and then we'll shoot this last video and we'll go on from there.